Hello everyone and welcome to a new game for this channel, Subway Builder. Now, I know this game released a while back now actually, and I have been playing it, but this is my first time recording it, mainly because I don't have enough time to record 5 different series at once. But we are going to be building a metro network, I'm going to call it, in London, which is the city where I live. And you might be wondering, are you going to build realistically, or maybe build realistically but then add some of your own lines in? No, mainly because I've already done that. I can flash up the image on screen now. So we are going to be going a bit kind of fictional with this, and by fictional I'm just going to be placing lines wherever the hell I feel like it, or making it work for this game. So we will get started with construction. I'm using dark mode for this because I am told that the average person prefers dark mode. I personally prefer light mode, but I don't want to blind people who are watching my videos. So we'll go for the opposite of blinding, if you actually like light mode, like me. So we're going to pull up the demand stats. At the moment it's all a bit grey, but the main workers area, kind of this central bit, it kind of runs east-west with a bit through Canary Wharf. In terms of population, there's quite a bit to the north. So I want to kind of get one first line that's going to be really good for us. So we could literally just run along this road here. This main road runs quite straight through London. We could get a fairly minimal depth, or even elevated. It feels silly that knowing this road we're going to send a train line elevated straight through Oxford Circus. It's an interesting idea, but yeah, why not? And in fact, let's build a station at Oxford Circus, or Regent Street it's calling it, but we are just gonna... It's not a perfectly straight road, so there might be some places where we have to bend a little bit around buildings. It's not a station there, because stations have to be perfectly straight, and so they're not best to put where it bends a bit. Right, I don't actually know exactly how close the station should be. Let's just place some. So this is now going to run down here. This is really like this getting into the city of London. I mean, Bank is literally just here. Or like the Bank of England is like here, and then there's Bank Station here, which is one of the major interchanges. Right, so if we come through here, we then get onto this straight road here, that's the A13, that's the A11. I think we could head towards Canary Wharf, but we never quite reached there, so I think we'll go up the A. Is it the A11? I think it is actually. We'll go up whatever this road is anyway. Goes through like Whitechapel and whatever. So we are literally just going to do a straight shot up this road. Isn't a building there. It's a church, I think, that's just stuck in the middle of the road. London's got loads of weird things like that. But yeah, we've has the boat fly over. We keep running up here. It says Stratford now. You might know Stratford from Westfield Shopping Centre, which is here. The Olympic Park, where they held the London 2012 Olympics, is just here. And yeah, lots of other stuff. Stratford Station, where we have quite a lot of lines in real life, is here. And I'm kind of wondering at what point it's actually easier to shove this onto the train line. I'm not sure it's really necessary, because you've got a nice empty stretch here where the train line runs, but I mean, got the same thing along the road. What's the cost so far? 660 million. We need to keep an eye on that, just to make sure A, we can build tracks, B, we can build more stations out to the other side, because that makes more sense. And we can get crossovers, we can buy trains, all that important stuff we need to do before actually building the line. So we go up here, it's now into like Ilford. So it'd be nice to have like a station. This is like right down the main shopping street, I'm pretty sure. Is that a bit of a gap, maybe? I don't think it's... Oops, I'm spinning out of control. Is it best to put a station in the middle, or just... Let's just replace that one. We're already up to Ilford, so let's just take a step back and go a bit out the other way. Now, I'm only building one line to start with, mainly because it's a bit weird for a metro system in real life to open 3 short lines at its first opening. Usually it just opens 1, and we will extend this line. But quite frankly, I've found, from playing this game quite a bit, that it's more efficient to just start with 1 line that goes from the outskirts into the centre and back outside again, picking up a load of people, and whatever. So, I think it's best if at Shepherd's Bush here, we take this fork in the road. This is the other Westfield shopping centre in London. So far we've basically been doing basically the central line in London. But, well, not quite. This kind of goes, like, this is now the central line, so we've gone a bit south of it. But yeah, we are going to go to here. Why not? Let's call it an end here. And let's make sure we've got a station. Ooh, this is a bit interesting. We can destroy buildings in this game, like, or whatever it is. I'm not sure if it's actually technically destroying, but spend money on them. Like, it's not the end of the world, but it's easier if we don't. If we just go like there. Mill Hill Grove, that's our end of the line. So we need to make sure we have a nice crossover there, so the trains can turn around. And then we will just do tracks where we can, get them straight without deleting stuff we will, otherwise we'll bend around a bit, but it's easier if we don't compromise the speed too much, so as straight as possible. But a bend like that is still not actually taking away any speed. So, just go like that. There we go. That's supposed to add 76 kilometres per hour. We're in the UK, so we of course use both the metric and the imperial system, or neither of them, or whatever, but I think the game's set to metric by default, or I've set it to metric at some point. Whatever. It really doesn't make much difference. They're the same numbers. They just well, they're different numbers, but they're the same. Although the same, whatever. They are basically the same. They take different numbers, but they could just be saying what 57 miles per hour, something like that. Yeah, they could just say that instead. Probably 56 miles an hour, but they're saying 89 kilometers an hour. It's the same thing. Alright, we're getting some nice clean stretches. The fact we're building this line elevated is saving us quite a lot of money. We're going to need to bend out a bit there. There we go. These kind of central bits where the road's quite narrow. London's roads are quite narrow, mainly on account of the fact the city barely ever demolishes anything. So if there was a narrow road because it was built like that 500 years ago, no one's done anything about it yet. And likely no one ever will do anything about it. So, we get this long line. I haven't done any taking into account where interchanges might be on this line. It's easiest just to get a line set up. Quite frankly, I would quite possibly be spending more money, particularly if I decided that I wanted quad track stations for interchange, which I mean, sometimes it works, but you need lines to be facing more or less the same direction. Usually I find it's easiest just to get them to cross over rather than share a quad track section in most cases, but not all. This bit is this is really weaving along narrow roads now. So that's not too bad. We're hoping we can do this cleanly. We're hoping when we go to costs, that building demolition will not come up on there, and it hasn't come up yet, which shows that we're doing a good job. So this bit is a bit bendy, so we will have to be bendy with the tracks. We could be building this whole thing at like -10 elevation, not having to worry about any of this, but that would cost quite a lot more, so I think it would cost like 2.5 times as much as it's costing right now. So we would be able to go like 40% of the distance for the same amount of money, which is not ideal compared to just doing everything cheaply. And we're not having to make too many trade-offs because of the elevation. We're just having to slow down a little bit in some places. And we're slightly restricted with where we can build tracks. And I have chosen a route to start, which we can do quite easily just following a road. Or technically a few different roads, because it bends a bit. Or they're not all considered to be the same road anyway. But yeah, if we just get out to here, we bend around here, we bend into there. I think this is where we're terminating. Okay, for 2.23 billion, we are building a line that long, which I think's a good deal. And that's all built. It's the first time I've ever heard the construction house, because it's a central line which is going to go for red. And I'm just going to call it red, quite frankly. I know London names all have names. I cannot be, because I'm not going to stick to the train lines, I cannot be able to be creative enough to think of new names, so I'm just going to call them based on colours. So we create that. We then start one end, and we go to the other. Because it's a very simple line, there should not be any issues. I just need to make sure I do not either not click on anything or click twice, because that means it won't stop there, which can also cause issues, but I think it's all good so far. And that will terminate. I always like to use the left-hand platform, mainly because if they're using a crossover without being told which side they go into, they use the right. So if they were also showing a bit of red up here, you'd know something was wrong with the route. Whereas if you use the right-hand platform, you don't have that visual cue. Right. It goes further east than it does west, but whatever. At this point, that's fine. We do have, I think we get a few trains to start with. We will want more. Let's get 50 more carriages. I'm wondering whether it's best to go down to 5 carriage trains. It's a lot of capacity. Yeah. And let's go to 10 trains on the line in high demand, which is basically rush hour. Medium demand, we'll go for 6 trains. Low demand, we'll go for 3 trains, and let's see how this line does. And in the meantime, we've literally just let the game run for the first time, so it'll compute all the demand stuff. And it will already start to commute some for using transport like this one. That one's they go to work there, which they can very easily do with our new train line. They haven't computed this yet. And if they're going there, they're certainly not using our train line. That is way out. That's actually outside of London. Like the London boundary is like here, but the map goes out to there. Right. Go to demand stats. We've already got 0% using transport. I'm not going to use the American words all the time. This game is built around American words. My British brain wants to use British words, so I'm going to say transport. 0.2% now, but bear in mind, still 2/3 of the population haven't been computed yet, so. Anyway, we are already making profit. This is great. Because when we make profit, we can then get money to build new train lines, to then make more money, to then build more train lines, and it's a nice repetitive virtuous cycle. Whereas if we weren't making money, we would then have no more money and we would go bankrupt. And we would have to go under. Whereas to start with, we've gone over. Even though if we had less money, we'd technically not go. Yeah, let's just stop making puns. Yeah, if you look at workers, which are not showing up on this for whatever reason. Yeah, we're going through some of the biggest worker areas and some pretty big residential areas. There's still some more up to the north. It's quite a dense map, London. It is not the most difficult, to be fair. And by not the most difficult, it's quite easy, to be fair. I mean, the challenge in London is it's actually gets to a point where it's quite difficult to build lines because of all the buildings in the way. Like, I've picked, like, one of the few actually straight roads you could build a train line on to start with, mainly because, yeah, it is one of the few straight roads you could build a train line on. A lot of the time it's going to have to be deep, at least in the centre. Also, we're going to have the challenge of stuff will get busy, which is not a bad challenge to have, because it just means you're making a lot of money. Right, so everything seems to be going great. That's almost all calculated now. And we've got already 1% using 1.1% now using our transport, which means if we look at route ridership, that is already hitting 70,000, which is quite good. This is why I choose to start with one line. One bit line that I know will be busy, because right now, in a day, we've already made over 50 million profit, and we're approaching 100 million revenue. So quite frankly, we'll already, we're gonna reach we might even reach 100 million revenue by the end of the day. We're not far off. We'll get fewer passengers now. It's quiet times. I think we're already gonna be down this load of money. I feel like the timings of medium, high and low demand in this game are a bit weird. But anyway, we have reached 100 million revenue. We've got, at the moment for the day, about 64 million profit. So we're already eligible for the 500 million bond. I don't like taking bonds because you got to pay them back, and then that's just like, you're just at that point just being impatient, quite frankly, to build new stuff. You might as well just leave the game running for half an hour. I mean, particularly if you're making the amount of money we are. The only reason I would take a bond is if we were really struggling with money, but suddenly I need 500 million to open a new train line that would absolutely change everything. But I'm going to leave this running for a bit, and then we'll come back and we'll build a second line, because why not? We may as well complement it now. We've got a solid foundation for making money. It's got 95,000 on the route ridership so far. It's only going to increase. And yeah, we'll just leave it running. Come back when I think I'll aim for 1 billion or something. I don't know. The next one won't be as long. But I mean, quite frankly, if you come from like here, it's quite high demand, and go up here, I don't know how far we'll get with the money, but we can try. Anyway, I shall leave the game running for a bit and be back. Right, so I have decided to come back now, and we're not quite on 1 billion, but we're on 933 million. We're consistently making about 65 million profit a day, so our money is going up. We could take the bond, but I can't be bothered because, like, what is the point? Presume our demand stats will have stabilised now, so 1%. And 96,000 route ridership. One thing I haven't even thought about changing the ticket price yet. Quite frankly, it's quite fine as it is. So for our second line, I'm going to once again actually go down one of the roads you can quite easily run down, which also coincidentally, or actually really not coincidentally, has a tube line running down it. This time we're going to go down the A3 down here, which is the A3 until about here, and then the A3 goes that way. We'll continue this way probably. Just the northern line, but it is quite a good straight road. No wonder they decided like over a century ago it would be a good place to build a tube line, and we're going to somehow bring it up into the centre and then probably take it north. The one thing I am a bit less sure about is how we actually send it through centre, particularly given I did actually a pretty rubbish job at building the red line stations in a way that will make connections at all easy, but we'll deal with it. So, I'm thinking, yeah, at this point we might. What I'll do is I will build the line. We won't build it elevated, we'll build it at -9. The reason for that is essentially what I like to call a transition height. If -9 is the lowest height, which has a 1 times cost, it's cutting cover. This means that if at any point we have to go through a building, we have to pay to knock it down. But if we just dip down to -10, now we can go under most buildings in the city. that is more expensive. So if we keep most of it in a -9, we save the money, but then if we ever need to dip down below a building, we can just quite quickly, because obviously we've got maximum slope, so we can quite quickly hop down to a -10. So, we are going to start around here. And we're going to quite a lot of people down here, so fairly confident that this will be a good route to run down. What's that? It's possibly slightly. Right. It's just Clapham Common down here. We are going to be spending more money on this, so let's bring it to there for now, because I want to, of course, actually bring it into the centre for a connection with the red line. Whoops, or at this point what is basically our wannabe central line. That's 40, we could just bring it down to like there. Just cut that little bit off. Keeps it slightly faster. Oops. There we go. Why is it quicker at that direction? I will never know. Sometimes the way the game determines speeds in this game seems a little weird, but whatever. Yeah, then got a straight run down here. Just by Oval Stadium here. If anyone's into cricket, or if anyone's not into cricket, you can still know that it's Oval Stadium. So, if we build a station like here, we can then run up to, build a station here. That does make a connection, so that is quite nice. So that goes under the River Thames, which for whatever reason we can actually build a cut and cover tunnel underneath. Might be a bit of a wet tunnel if we try go cut and cover, but apparently we can. There we go. This bit here, I do wonder whether we should try get a station in. But it's going to be a bit of an awkward one to try get a layout for, so essentially what we're going to do. So we're just going to go down to a -10. We're going to go under all this stuff, and then we'll pop back out to a -9. In fact, what we do, if we bend this round in a good way, we can then get a station off here. Might go for a shorter station, just so it's easier to get a bend off the other end of it. There we go. So that costs most of the money that we've got, so we could just decide that's the length of the line. I'm tempted to push it one station further though. Got this huge blob here that's just crying out for a station. So yeah, if we just go up here, we now have insufficient funds. We need to cross over there. If we're ending the line here for now, we'll put a crossover here. So it's a connection. It goes a completely different direction from the red line, so we're picking up tons of new people. And that will cost us 1.07 billion, otherwise known as 40 million more than we have right now. But 40 million's not a lot. We make that much profit in less than a day, quite frankly, so hopefully we shouldn't be waiting too long. But ideally, we would get beyond 4 AM if we want to be making money. There we go, we're getting into rush hour now. Or at least we're going to get towards busier times and therefore make more money. You can see the total revenue today is not that much compared to what we make in a day. That's because we haven't gone through the busy times yet, but now we are. See that now got more trains out on the line, they'll be picking up more passengers. Haven't had any notifications yet that our trains are busy. If we go to here, you can see. Yeah, our trains are some of the way passenger loading works in this game is a bit weird. It's done in like chunks, so you have like trains that are just empty whilst others are full. And we have 2 trains that have been empty for quite a long time. I don't know why. And now that one's got some people. But yeah, I think we've got a good number of trains on the line, and we're only 10 million off being able to build a beautiful new line, which I'm not going to make it a black colour because you would never see it on this, but technically this is kind of the northern line, although it goes, I mean, the stations aren't quite matching, and then it goes a bit off here. I'll probably try to bring it on to go up this way, maybe, or to go up this way, I don't know. I mean, yeah, we could. I think the big work bubbles there, with good positioning for that as well, with the new line. Oops, I almost cleared the blueprints there. I feel like these construction sounds are new, because I've never heard them. It's the light animation, it's new. Right, routes, new route. Let's go for this colour. Let's call it gold, because that's yellow. I like using text colour white, even if it's slightly harder to see. I feel like it just looks nicer. Right. We then build the line. We have got a few trains left over, I think, so hopefully we'll be able to get some trains. It's literally only 13 minutes end to end, so we won't need a huge number of trains. I would say 3 is probably enough. 2, 1, there we are. It's literally evening rush hour as we're doing this. Okay, that's getting a bit busy. Why not? Let's stick a 4th train on during rush hour. And then, yeah, it's quite a short line, but should get some decent ridership. Do wonder whether 1 train's enough in low demand, but the fact that it's actually getting towards being full is quite a good thing, because sometimes you really struggle to get passengers during low demand. I've had before, like in the past, on personal saves, had to like just cut low demand service altogether on some routes, which doesn't make any more money, but we do quite well actually. The fact that we, or at least have been, making profit every hour of the day. So that day's ended on slightly higher revenue, probably because we got the new line in towards the end. Our new line is, well, still it's quite low ridership, but I think we might have actually boosted the red line while we're at it, because obviously if you live here, you're suddenly able to go over here, whereas you weren't before. If you lived here and went over here, you wouldn't just go here and then decide to give up, you just wouldn't go at all. Which means we're adding passengers to the red line. It won't be the most significant effect. Obviously the most significant effect will be people can now get to jobs right here in the City of London, where a lot of people work in real life and where they're quite big worker blobs. But yeah, if we just let this run now into the new day. Let's track this. How busy are the trains? They're decently loaded. I think that's done a decent job with choosing the number of trains. But yeah, that is decently. Now, back to 2 trains, which are both, for a moment there, they were both full. Do we need 3? Let's go 4, 3, 2, why not? Just make sure, but yeah, red line's done very well out of the opening of the new line, but it's good they have a very distinct connecting point here, which I'd love to use. And when we go further north, that will become a major interchange. And even when we have other lines on the network, that will still be a pretty major interchange. So yeah, I'm happy. Hope you are. If you're not happy, get happy. Or, I don't know. And yeah, I think we are going to leave it there, because quite clearly at this point we're making money, we're doing well. We've got 1.6% already, and we've just got like this longer line here and then this really short stubby line here. We've still got so much more of the map to cover. So we had a warning there, that's the train's busy. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.